Hello, everyone. I'm the Bodacious Cowboy with my co-host, Christy Knichel. Are you ready for a special edition of the Storytelling Chronicles? We are. Let's go.
Look out! Pop, pop, it's showtime. Showtime. Guess who's back again? Oh, they don't know. Oh, they don't know. I bet they know as soon as we walk in. Showed up. I'm wearing Cuban links. Yeah. Designer mix. Yeah. Inglewood's finest shoes. Whoop, whoop. Don't look too hard, might hurt yourself. Known to give the color red the blues.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Storytelling Chronicles, empowering women into logistics. It is Monday, March 18th. We're halfway through the month. We have a great guest, Lina Castaneda from TAI Software. Christy, nice to see you today.
Yeah, nice to see you as well. Super excited, new fresh week, and I'm headed out to Denver tomorrow, so I'm excited to do this show and get it on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you do anything for St. Patty's Day?
You know, normally I do, but this weekend was like packing, getting caught up on work, and just getting house stuff done since I'm going to be gone this week, and then I'm leaving again next week for a long weekend. So unfortunately, no. How about you?
You know what? It was one of those weekends where I just wanted to take time off with the family. We didn't really do much at all. And sometimes you need to do that, just to kick back. Plus, there's a lot of drunks on the road. So,
yeah, I got to be careful there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, let's bring in our guest. She's a great person. She has a great story to tell. Let's bring her in. Hey, Lina, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, man. Fantastic. Hey, thanks for taking the time out of your busy day. I know that you're very busy to join our show. I know that you have a lot to talk about. For those who don't know who you are, tell everybody about yourself.
Of course. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. And Absolutely. Well, my name is Lina Castaneda. I am proud to be Colombian. I actually live in Canada since September 2021. But yeah, I'm come from Colombia. I don't have as many years as you guys have in the industry, so I cannot say that. However, I joined the industry back in 2020. And before that, I was working just for different industries, always in roles related to, customer experience and client relationships, quality, things like that. And then I jumped into the IT world, which was another whole experience. Of course, I got more, familiar with programming, coding, developers, all of this amazing work. And I think that was the key for me to join TAI Software, because it was the blend of both things, like client experience, but also the techie skills and things like that. So yeah, I was very, very happy to join TAI Software. We were going through a whole, restructuring of the company. So I first joined as a client success. And then, well, I've been going and moving throughout the years, like different roles within the company. But yeah, I'm just very grateful with the whole experience. My team in TAI Software, well, we are a TMS for freight brokers. So that's what we offer. And my team is the operations team. So I have the integration team, I have the onboarding team, the support team, and the learning and development team. So all of the, customer facing teams. And I just feel very, grateful for this opportunity, because part of my leadership always has been empowering women, and that's something that I value, and I'm very a huge advocate of that. So yeah, thank you guys for having me here. That's me. Quick recap.
You're welcome. So I mean, you just actually said you love the whole empowering women. So let's go right into that briefly. Yeah. And what does that mean to you to be an empowered woman, specifically in logistics? And how do you try to live it daily yourself? I know you've only been in this role a couple of years, or in supply chain in general, but obviously you've had another career at different or in different industries. So what does that mean to you, and how important is it truly what we're doing here today?
Sure. Well, I think it's very important because, as you said, there are different roles, different experiences, but leadership is something that we can practice every single day, right? Like 24/7, we can be leaders at home, in community, with friends, but also at work. And that is a perfect opportunity for us to get to know different people with different backgrounds, which was actually what happened to me at the very beginning. like coming from another, industry with a different profile, maybe a different background as well. Some of the challenges that I had was that, like, being disruptive, right, in this industry. So being Latin, like, English is not my first language, of course. Being a woman, young, so a lot of challenges right there that were there at the very beginning. However, just being able to learn from other women and just being able to walk by their side and make sure that they are empowered as well, and that they understand that we are here to do whatever we want to, and that we can set our minds to whatever we want to and accomplish that, is very empowered. I feel very empowered by that. And then for the leadership side of it, of course, it's about leading them to find themselves, because sometimes we are not even aware of our worth. So just being able to be with them and make them see what they do every single day and accomplish their dreams, that's, to me, leadership. And just being able to serve. I think that we all are here to serve and to give back a little bit of the many things that we always get. So yeah, that's leadership to me.
No, I love that. So, like, question, because you're from Colombia,
Yeah.
what is the difference, or is there a difference between how that country is in regards to maybe jobs you've had there versus here in the States, in as far as like women helping each other and being there for each other? Like, do you find that in Colombia as well as here in the States? Well, I guess you're not
Yeah.
even in the States, you're in Canada.
I'm in Canada, yeah. But my team is in the US, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's very different, starting with the culture, like, we are very different in terms of how close we are to each other, how we communicate. It's, like a closer relationship there that we have between employees and the companies and everything. But I think the challenges are pretty much the same. Like, and if we are talking about this industry, the logistics industry, and all of this, I think that the challenges are pretty much the same, and it's still a very intimidating space for women. Because, of course, as we know, it's very, male dominated, and we have to do something in order to stand out and in order to be heard. So I think those challenges are pretty much the same. And yeah, culture-wise, communication-wise, those are different.
Gotcha. Now that's definitely interesting. So I know we, talked about you having a journey. Do you want to talk a little bit about your journey, maybe before you were in logistics, and kind of what it looks like now, and where you see the company you're with? What are some of the things they're doing to help women in logistics?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, my journey, I started very, very young, when I was like pretty much 17, almost 18. So I was working at a call center first, and I was always working with American people. So I was just taking care of the communications and the IT support for, American, people around the world, mainly in the US. So that gave me more information about how you guys were and how you guys behaved and how you guys communicated. That was pretty cool. And then after that, well, I started to feel very passionate about customer experience and, this relationship with customers. So that was my focus. And I started to, get roles that are more related to that. Always working with big teams, always, leading teams, especially with women, because that was one of my goals, always just being able to bring more women and just to empower them in order to accomplish their dreams. So yeah, that was always like something that I had very clear during my career. And then, I had like 10 or more years of experience working with that side of the business, like client experience, quality, and things like that. And then I got this opportunity to work in the IT world, as I was mentioning before. So very different again, because then I was talking to developers, to, like quality people, but on the software side. And again, a lot of male, a lot of guys, very powerful, very capable, very smart, few women in that industry. So that was another wake-up call. Like, okay, what are we, like, where are women here? We need more developers. We need more QAs that are women and that we can relate to. We didn't have that back then. And then I joined TAI, and the team that I have, my leadership team, was all men. So I was the only girl there. And of course, it was very, intimidating at first because they had a lot of experience and they were working together before. So they already knew each other. They already had a lot of, common things. And I was the new girl, young, Latin. So yeah, it was very interesting, let's say. But then I was very, very grateful with how they received me and how they, include me on the team. Because being honest, I think that really, really made the difference. The trust and just having men that really believed in me and supported me since day one really made the difference. And you know how people say that behind every successful man, there is a strong woman, I
Yeah.
always think that it's the same way, the contrary. So I always think that I've never met a single successful woman that hasn't had a guy supporting her or her career or her dreams, or at least inspired her or taught her something. And that's what happened to me as well. I grew up with a dad that always supported me. I was very, very lucky, that always took really good care of me. Then I got married, and my husband is my number one fan. He's always cheering me up, and he's always wanting me to do more. And then I came to this team of only guys, and they trusted me and they believed in me. And huge shout out to my CEO, because he really trusted me when he shouldn't, maybe because I came from a different background, different things, different skills, but he did. And just knowing that really made me go and do more, want more and do better things and bigger things. And that's something that really, yeah, I want to, highlight, because having that support from all of those men around me really made the difference throughout my career.
So let me ask you this, right? Being an only woman that's going into a male dominant ran business, how did you feel going into that kind of environment? You're young, you're going into a new organization. What were the types of feelings that you had inside? And I ask you this because of all the other young women that are out there that are venturing out, that are starting out in the field, getting into logistics and going into these open doors that they really don't know what they're walking into unless they're doing their homework up front, right? But a lot of them get so excited about, oh, it's the first job, I'm going into logistics, the challenge. What's the main thing that you would say to the younger folks out there that they should be doing, what they should be looking for, and what they should be really careful about?
I would say don't be afraid of mistakes, because we will always make mistakes, and that's the only way we can learn, like really learn, like you learn from that experience and then you do it better next time. So as a woman, I was always, afraid of making mistakes, because of course I was proving myself, right? And that was my first experience working with so many powerful guys, just joining the team and just, yeah, proving that I was capable of doing the things that they wanted me to do. So of course, a lot of insecurities came up. It's inevitable to, come up with comparisons when you are working with other people, maybe at your same level, but the only difference is your gender. So of course you fall under those comparisons and, well, things like that. But I will say that never be afraid of mistakes. Learn from those mistakes and take action. Be vulnerable. Share your thoughts. Don't be afraid of, like speaking up and just making sure that your concerns are voiced, because you are heard and you are acknowledged. And there will always be at least one person that is listening to you and that is being inspired by you. So don't be afraid of that.
So going back real quick to like when you first started and having this full male leadership team, did they embrace you right away where you felt comfortable right away? Or was it like over time that you had to um, kind of, I guess, get yourself more involved and feel that you were comfortable at a certain point, showing them, like you said, that you could do the job. So did that come in the beginning or did that come over time?
No, I think that from the very beginning, I got that support from them, which was awesome. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it really made the difference and
Yeah.
really built this confidence in me. And maybe the challenge that I had was with customers, because like we have this open network here, we have the trade shows, we have everything, so we are in a lot of spaces where we can just talk to customers, talk to other vendors, partners, and so on. And then it was a little bit awkward at the beginning, if I'm being honest, because I will just find myself in a group of only guys there with me, and then they will just talk between each other. And whenever I was speaking, they wouldn't even look at me and just continue to look at each other and just completely ignore me sometimes. And I was like, well, I get it. I'm the new one. They don't know me. I'm a girl. How, whatever, like I got it at that time. And then it was another wake up call, like, okay, this has to change, but it will change just because of who I am and how I present myself. It's about knowing your worth. It's about knowing what you have to bring to the table, knowing that your inputs and your insights are valuable as well. And whoever wants to hear it, well, I'm here, so yeah, that took time for sure, gaining that confidence among customers and the industry.
Right. And one of the things I would say as a follow up to that is I found myself in the industry in the same situations, right? Not necessarily my company, but like within the industry and when I'm out there. But did you find that you had to insert yourself in and kind of like start conversations to be heard, so to speak? Because I felt like that's what I had to do, right? No one was really coming up to me. I had to go do that. And did you find yourself doing that, but like being okay doing that? And how did that kind of turn into, like, I guess, a more comfortable conversation and not feeling so awkward?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to push yourself, right? Like, that you are not there yet where you want to be. So you have to push yourself. And yeah, being a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. And I'm a very introverted person, just so you know. So it was very challenging for me just to go out and, start the conversation or being the one looking forward to, meet with people and just schedule some meetings and things like that. But yeah, you absolutely have to do that, and you have to overcome those challenges that are really like very personal. For example, to me, doing that was challenging. So overcoming that was not only for gaining confidence within the industry, but only, with myself. It was a good thing to know, okay, I was able to do this. So let's keep doing that because it's working.
You know what? What's really funny? You said that you're an introvert. I find you quite the opposite, because the way that you were talking about presenting yourself and working hard, to me, you sound like definitely, an extrovert by all means. But I just want to go back to what you were saying prior to when you were left out and the guys weren't looking at you. Did you approach your boss and say, hey, how did you go about that besides wanting to get to be known, wanted to work harder? But did you approach him on that and say, not in so many words, hey, I'm being left out, I want to be brought into the inner circle? How did you go about that?
I didn't say anything at the time. No, I was just feeling that way. And then I was like, okay, this has to change. And I was just thinking about the ways to change it, right? But I didn't share that with anyone, my peers, my company, my boss, no one. But then with time, of course, I went to the same exact person that was doing that to me, and I started the conversation. So I was like, okay, now you're listening to me, and then now you're looking at me, So just in order to overcome that challenge and that feeling that I had back then. But yeah, I didn't share that with anyone back then.
Well, that's pretty normal, I would say. I think because people feel like what's going to happen if they do, but I think part of it too is companies creating a culture where everyone does feel comfortable. But I think part of it too is maybe how, when you do have a bunch of men in the room, and Jeff, maybe you can take the tail end of this, but when you have a bunch of men in the room and, have a young, pretty woman that just started, like that can be almost intimidating to them. And maybe they don't want to say the wrong thing, or I think Jeff's talked about it a lot of times, men have to change the way they talk in front of women to an extent.
And that's one of the reasons, and you heard me say it, they should have a guy room, a safe room for guys. I mean, we talked about women having safe rooms in corporations. I think really, when even though it sounds funny, I really think that there's a necessity for that, when you think about that, when you're trying to change the culture and brand your business, and knowing the right things to say because you never had to say it before. So when you try to be honest and have that integrity and transparency, sometimes when you come across, it's gonna feel like, you're holding back because you're afraid to really speak, but you don't know how to speak,
Right.
because you're afraid that it's going to be used against you, and that's when your true thoughts aren't being said. And so that's why I said that I think it's a great idea, the HRBP.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
I think he froze.
Yeah, he did.
But so while he fixes that, yeah, I mean, I'm with you there 100%. It can be challenging, and even to this day, sometimes when I'm out in the public or at some of these, conferences, not within my own company, still finding yourself being careful, even what I say, right? Because you
Yeah.
don't want the other side to take you a different way either,
Yeah.
and something inappropriate come out of it. So I think it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
back, Jeff. You made it.
What's that?
I said you're back. You froze for a hot second.
Oh, really? I was moving. I don't know what happened, but that's my internet. So
Oh
sorry,
yeah,
guys.
that's all right. You froze, so we continued to talk because we couldn't see you. So
Oh, okay.
No. The only
But
other
yeah.
thing that I wanted to add was that you learn to be ready for those situations, right? Because when it first happens, you don't know how to react. It was very new for me, for example, what happened. So I didn't know how to react and what to say or how to handle it. So I was just quiet, like, okay, this happened, let it be. Let's continue, let's move on. But then with time, of course, you learn how to, handle those situations and you gain confidence. So for sure, that makes you even more confident and more effective when you are communicating those things.
Very
Yeah,
true.
no, I agree with you 100%. I think a big part of it is putting yourself out there. Like, you're very well spoken. You
Yes.
seem to have a lot of knowledge about what's important and empowering women. And
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, I just think for everything that you're saying, I think it's great because that's some of the things that I had to do too. And at the end of the day, I think we have to make our own path, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Put yourself in there, then you can determine based on how you're getting feedback or how they're taking to you, and then you can change that situation yourself. I mean, and as uncomfortable as it is, and like I said, I've done it my whole career, because I'm the same as you. Like, obviously I speak quite a bit now, but like definitely that introvert, shy type person initially, I did have to force myself to go outside of my comfort zone, so that you could continue to build your network, because I'm a true believer in building that network. And if you're going to be in the corner and afraid because these guys aren't going to come talk to you, and even if it's women, that same thing, like, you just have to put yourself in that position and go over there and start that conversation.
Right. It has a lot to do with knowing your worth again, because I think most of us are very afraid of rejection, right? We've received so many no's throughout the years and we've been, left out and everything, that we are afraid of saying no or to just speak up in general. So yeah, it's about just knowing what you deserve and what you have to bring to the table. And then, yeah, for sure, overcome that.
Right. So I'm going to ask you another question here before we go to our commercial break for our sponsors. But what do you think, what qualities make a great female leader? I know, like, you're in a company, and maybe you can talk a little bit, is our female leaders within TAI? I know we actually use that product here at Canishal. Very happy with TAI, but personally, I don't know a whole lot of people at TAI and how many women there are, but are there female leaders, and what qualities, do you find that makes a female leader great?
So I'm still the only one in the executive team. However, we do have different leaders. And as my team is the biggest one, of course, we have more than the other teams. And it's also because it's the customer facing teams, right? So of course, like, these skills of customer service and just being very empathetic and providing a good support to our customers comes from women too. So yeah, we have for the 4 leaders, I have 5 leaders, sorry. 4 of them are women.
Great.
So it's really a nice experience. And yeah, it's been very, very powerful for all of them, just knowing what they deserve and finding themselves, because I have some of them that didn't even want to be a leader before. And I was like, you are a leader. I know you are a leader. Just continue to do what you're doing and you will realize that you are a leader. And eventually they came to me and they said, yeah, I want to do it. Let's do it. I'm not afraid anymore, so let's do it. And they are great. They are absolutely rock stars, and I feel absolutely proud of them. So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. And I will just say, sorry, I'm hijacking this, Jeff, but
No, please.
But no, it's interesting to hear you say that, because like I mentor a lot of women, and honestly, there's some women that just flat out said, if I wasn't working with them and showed them what they could actually do in themselves, which they have to find themselves, they might not have taken the journey that they took or taking a different job. And that makes me feel great that, like, I mean, it in one second, it kind of sucks where you feel like, why should I have to tell someone that they're good enough, right? But in the same token, I think being able to encourage each other, while we talk about empowering women into logistics, that will make them rise to the occasion even more, knowing that we're behind them, supporting them as well. So I think that's huge. And that's awesome. I didn't know you were the only executive woman on the team. So
That's awesome.
yeah, kudos to you. And then obviously building some other women in there. And before we go to the break here, how many women and men, like what is the ratio, would you say, within TAI?
I would say it's probably 40-60.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
That's really good. It seems like they're definitely making strides to continue to add women to the team and see what that's done.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I think we are also like putting a lot of effort into including not only, women and different kind of groups, because I don't see buckets, I see people. So, for example, the Colombian team that we have, I feel super proud just knowing that I was the first Colombian employee they have, and now we have around 30 employees in Colombia. So I feel like I kind of helped, opening the doors for them for that, inclusion. And I feel absolutely happy and grateful for being able to do that and give them that opportunity as well. So it's a lot of, mixed cultures and a lot of, an exchange of things every single day. From the US team and the Colombia team. And now we are more, just aware of what is going on in everyone's life.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break here and talk about our sponsors for a minute. Just hang on in there.
Perfect.
All right. So first up, we're going to talk about TAFs.
Yeah. So TAFs is a full-service factoring company specializing in the purchase of accounts receivables from small and medium-sized transportation companies. Their focus on their client service allowed TAFs to quickly become a leader in the transportation factoring industry.
Trucking excellence meets unparalleled service. Enjoy exclusive benefits like our fantastic tire discounts. Need cash fast? Try our 1-hour advances. Plus, we're here for you 365 days a year. Need loads? We have a pro dispatch service. This is why TAFs was recognized as the top factoring company in 2023. You'll benefit from strategic partnerships for enhanced operations. Access business loans and manage your finances easily with our client portal, F2 Fuel Card, and mobile app. At TAFs Factoring, we're more than just a factoring company. We're your partner in success. Contact us today to see how we can help your trucking business thrive.
Yes, and then our next sponsor is Freight Validate. Freight Validate is about validation based on facts. Trust Freight Validate to provide crucial insights into the reliability of carriers and brokers operating in the United States and Canada. Their platform uniquely incorporates facial recognition, risk assessment, and compliance certification to ensure you're working with trustworthy partners. They use objective, impartial, and factual data in their freight validation process. No predictive analytics, no guesswork, no hypotheticals, just facts.
Motor carriers depend on Freight Validate to stop fraud, but they can't do it alone.
Shippers must verify every carrier that comes in to pick up a load.
Hey Siri, check Freight Validate.
Sure, what's the MC number?
123127.
The company you can rent ME LLC is a carrier and cannot be completely validated at freightvalidate.com. The platform is not able to verify information obtained in federal, state, or public sources in regard to identity, risk assessment, or compliance history with 100% certainty. Please follow company protocols for additional safety and compliance vetting. For more information, please go to freightvalidate.com.
Fly-by-night freight brokers, how can I help you?
Mr. Broker, why did you send me this carrier? They are not validated on Freight Validate. Please do not send me any carrier that is not validated on Freight Validate. If you are not using Freight Validate, I suggest you start. I'm sorry, we cannot load you. Your company does not meet our compliance standards. Please call your dispatcher for more information.
Fraud starts with fraud. It ends with Freight Validate.
Awesome. Well, we thank our sponsors very much. We'll be doing something good for women in logistics with this money. We haven't figured that out exactly what that is, but it's all going to go to something supporting women in logistics. So ideas are welcome as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So please chime in, reach out to either Christy or myself. We're open to some really good ideas. So.
Yeah. So moving along a little bit, you know, now that you've been in logistics space going on, I guess, your 4th year, you know, how are you feeling now than you were before? And then what do you feel that, you know, as far as, you know, the more women coming into the company, what are some things you feel as an executive now that you can make a change within the company you work for?
Well, number one, I think that what my CEO did with me and the executive team at the time by trusting me and believing in me was, key. And I will continue to do that always because that's very important. Like when I came, I had these fresh eyes that I want to say that. And I was looking at the company and at the industry with those, new perspectives and in a more maybe objective way because I was not in the industry before. So I could identify the things that we, could do better at the time. So number one, that just making sure that we are very inclusive and that we are taking into account different backgrounds, different perspectives, because that really helps us grow always. And then, I really think that women look at things from a different perspective. So, how the coin always has two sides. I think that we look at the other side easier, maybe because of the way we handle emotions or the way we are aware of our own emotions and practice empathy with other people. So I do think that empowering that in women and just sharing that with male as well, because it's very important to have their support as well. We are not focusing all of the efforts just into women, but we want the support from male and we want to work as a team. All we're asking for is that we are equal, that we all have the same amount of opportunities, that we all have a choice, because that's what happens as well sometimes with us. Like we are afraid again of rejections or afraid of, not having more opportunities, than we ended up accepting everything or just saying yes to everything because we are afraid that, if I don't take this one, maybe I won't have more opportunities. Or if I say no, maybe they won't offer me anything else, or they will judge me because of that. So just being able to have the same amount of opportunities and just giving the power to everyone to make their own choices is what we promote and what I will continue to promote, among the team and among the company.
So do you guys have anything in place within the company to like a pathway to get more women up the ladder within TAI? And if not, is that something that you think would be important for the company to look at, or maybe something you could be a part of creating?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been looking into that because I really want to develop something for women in TAI, and a program that it's always with leadership and just empowering them to find themselves, because they have a lot of skills and they have a lot of things, but maybe they are not very aware of them. So I just want to help them realize what they can do. Something we don't have right now, but definitely something that we are looking for.
And that's awesome. There's so many great organizations out there that have programs that whether you send them or webinars. I know I'm part of TIA. They have a women's
Yeah.
lunch that they give on, but they also have a women's committee,
Right.
which I think is another thing to get women involved in, because again, it's bringing women from different parts of the world and companies all together with, different diverse, not decisions, but, just solutions and
Right.
things to talk about that they could all work together with. So,
Yeah,
And those.
and another thing too is, the male support side of the business. I mean, women do need that.
Yeah.
And the more that they get involved and listen with intent to understand the problems and issues that they have is only going to help them to move forward much quicker than what's happening right now. So, I mean, it is important, and TIA is definitely, a very good organization where you can get that kind of support, as well as the TMSA as well.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, TMSA. There's Women in Trucking.
yes.
There's several of them out there. There's Women in Space Machine, which is another newer one that's been out here. So yeah, there's a lot of that, and I encourage, not just yourself, but women within your organization to join these committees. If they can't go attend, there's things that they can be a part of virtually as well.
Yeah, for sure. And
And just
actually,
go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was going to say that we actually work with TIA and the Women in Logistics Committee. I actually had a podcast, not a podcast, well, a webinar with them last year, which was very empowering as well. And they were absolutely, insightful and everything. So yeah, I shared that space with them as well. And for this TIA, we're actually sponsoring the Women in Logistics lunch, and I'll be moderating the panel with them. So yeah, that's going to be amazing too. So those things we are doing.
Too, sorry. one thing too, just because an event says women in trucking, or it's the event says that, or the foundation said, doesn't mean that men are excluded. Even with podcasts, you can always jump on a podcast to support a woman who's trying to get problems solved or issues solved. I mean, the more that men get involved and they listen to this stuff, like I said before, it's going to just help them out. So remember, guys out there, just because it says women in trucking doesn't mean that forget about that. I'm not going to join. I'm a member. So, and there are other men that are members as well. So get involved and help them out.
Yeah, one of the things we talk about is, I think, men getting involved and understanding how much just how powerful that is for their company that they're at. Women can bring more money to the bottom line, the different ideas, because they think differently, like you mentioned, Lina, like so many things. And I was at Manifest, not this year, but the year before, and there was a big Women in Logistics lunch, and there were so many women, and there was maybe 10 men in the whole room. But again, we thank the men. I'm kind of like, hey, why don't you want to go in a room full of women? At the end of the day, I think that's one of the things a lot of times when I'm at these conferences, they do talk about is thanking the men for coming in. Sometimes they think this is just for women, but at the end of the day, it's not. It's, a place, I think, trying to make them feel supported, where they can be there and be a part of it. But the men have to be a huge part of that. And that's why we're doing this in the first place.
Yes.
Exactly. And it's an opportunity for everyone, I think. Like, everyone has, women around them. And if you are in a leadership position, and if you're male, of course, you will have to deal with emotions from women as well. And you will have to understand how we behave, how we act, how we react. So it's just valuable that you put yourself out there and just understand a little bit better, where we're coming from, basically.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about, just going back to your company a little bit, but talking about the women that are within your company now, what type of roles do you see within your company that women do well, and that they can continue, just so the audience can hear that, being in tech isn't just a male role, but women have their place in it too? And are there places they shine over other places?
I think so, yeah. Everything that has to do with relationships, like working with customers. For example, my leader for the onboarding team is a woman. She's extremely powerful. She's very, knowledgeable, and she's a great leader. She works with her team. They love her because she really, is there for them. So she is very strong on that side, just making sure that we are keeping that relationship with customers, but also in terms of, the techie side of things. My leader for integration, so the girl that is on top of connecting brokers with their EDI connections, their API connections. She is absolutely great, and she is extremely smart, and she's the leader of that team. So it's not like we can, how do you say that? It's not about a role specifically. We can set our minds to whatever we want to do. And I think that if there's passion, if there is guidance, and if there is training, which is to me the key for every single thing in life, if there's training and if there is support, then we can do whatever. I have 4 different or 5 different teams, all of them with different skill sets, all of them with different, targets, all of them with different responsibilities. And we have women in all of them, and they are great, and they are rock stars. So I don't think that there is one team or another that is, a better fit for women. I just think that if there is support and if there is training and opportunities, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree 100%. I think everything you just talked about is crucial to a job, regardless if it's a woman or a male. It's about the role, training them to it. I think I've talked previously about how we found in our intermodal department where more women tend to be successful there than men. I can't give you the reason why, other than maybe the multitasking that's involved, but I know there's multitasking in a lot of the roles within brokerage, but we've never really, our last male that was in there just actually moved into sales. And he did a good job, but he was also surrounded by like 12 women. So, because my company is more, 70% women over male. So they find themselves a minority here somewhat. But no, I mean, it's just interesting to be able to see that. But I also feel like part of it too is the training and making sure that that's all there. But there's definitely some skill sets that women have over some males that can kind of shine in some of those roles. And I think you mentioned earlier, empathy in particular, I think is a huge one.
Definitely.
Not that men don't have that, but
No.
it definitely comes across a lot more with women in particular.
Well, you know what? The way you understand or feel empathy is, like I said before, is when you listen to intent and you push everything out of the way so that you truly understand where they're coming from. People that just want to hear words and not really understand what's being spoken, those are the ones that get lost really, really quick. But if you listen, like I said, with intent, you're going to understand, it's more complex than what I thought was being said. I need to really think about this and respond accordingly instead of just saying something erratic. And one of the things that I did, like I had mostly more women than men in my operation, but I implemented cross training, and it was really funny. It was much different when a woman went from their role to find out how a male did his role and sat down. This is taking a male out of his seat and saying, "You're working with Mary today." You can see the frustrations. They felt totally uncomfortable, and I did that so that they could bond, sort of speaking, to have an understanding so they could work side by side and understand each other's roles so that when they spoke and we had these meetings, people would understand because they did what they did. And I think that's highly advantageous in any organization, is when you have the ability to cross-train, to write the work instructions, the policies, and hand it out to everyone. This way, everybody's on an equal playing field. Nobody's, there's no favoritism. This is the rule of engagement. This is what you do in the workspace. And it does work. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to touch on too is mentorship. I do a lot of this, and I love that I do this. It didn't come along for myself till it was further along in my career, a lot further along. Part of it because I didn't feel I could reach out. But just curious if this is something that you do yourself. Do you reach out to find mentors? Do you have any kind of mentorship program within your company? Like, what are your thoughts around that? Because I think that is so important, not just for women, but for men too, and them
Absolutely.
learning, how they can better support women within the company as well. Because one of the things I talk about is we have brought in a woman leadership coach, and my COO is a male. And one of the things he asked is, can I work with her so I can better understand how to better work with women, which I thought was pretty
Great.
cool. You know, you
Yeah,
wouldn't
great.
typically, I think, hear that from someone, but I think he recognizes where he's at and what's around him. So just curious what your take is on that, because I feel it's so important.
Mhm.
Absolutely important, yeah. So our investor firm has a lot of initiatives towards that, and they create these spaces in order to connect with other people, depending on your preferences, right? So we have different groups per role or different groups per skill sets, but we also have a committee for women and a mentorship program. So for sure, I always reach out to other women that I am inspired by and that have maybe the same struggles and the same challenges. So yeah, I always do that because I feel it's very important to be able to relate to someone and just being able to be vulnerable and to be able to share your struggles. And maybe when you know are vocal about that, you start finding the solutions. If you just keep it to yourself, you will just get overwhelmed and you will just not find the solution. So once you talk about it, once you share that with someone that is really listening to you, as you mentioned before, Jeff, and is really like interested in helping you and supporting you somehow with a good advice, or just by listening to you, or maybe showing you some other options that you are not seeing at the moment, I think that's key for your success and for your mental health as well. Sometimes you cannot, vent to your team because you don't want to overwhelm them too, or you don't want to vent to, the people around you because, again, you are taking care of them as well. So maybe just sharing that with someone external that still is within the company, or within the industry, or that shares the same, struggles and challenges. It's really a big difference there. So yeah, for sure, always doing that.
That's good to hear. And I'm glad that you are reaching out, because that's one of the biggest things I talk to everyone about is really just asking. Like, and that's how I've become close friends with a lot of people, them just asking me some questions, and you ask them questions and you grow together. Not just individually, but like your companies, because you can learn no matter what size you are, or even you just being in tech. Like, obviously, one of the things I learned recently was I have my circle of my supply chain people I can reach out to, and groups that I'm involved with, but I'm also working with people outside of our industry too, because I think sometimes they can see things that we're not going to see if we're all in it every day. But I think it's important to have those mentors, especially being a woman, regardless, because I think that helps give the confidence that they need, like you mentioned, to continue to work on themselves so that they can rise to the occasion and continue to work up within the company.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to say that your culture is very well defined within Canichel, and I think your women really understand that, because I've gotten a few messages from them, Abby, for example, and yeah, I can see how that's the culture there. So shout out to you and your company.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Actually, Abby is so she works for me now, but she was one of the women I mentored for a few years, or worked with her and helped her with a lot of things. At the end of the day, though, she had to do the work. She had to take that step, and she's one of those people that do talk about it, though. Like, I encouraged her to get there. And it just, I remember listening to that podcast and hearing that. I'm like, oh my God, like, that's so awesome that you make a difference in someone's life. That's why I say it's so important, because some people are not going to ever step out of that shell or where they're at because they're afraid that they're not good enough. And the more people, again, it's not just women, but the women and men both lifting up women in particular, because we do lack that a lot of times, the confidence that we can actually do that. And it's been great to see Abby grow, even, from when she went from the one company to the other company, now come work for me, has just been awesome. So.
But you've trained so many, Christy. I mean, that's all I hear. Oh, do you know Christy? Yeah, I know. Well, Christy did this. Do you know Christy? Oh, Christy did that. And it's like, so you're all over the place. And that's what the industry is all about. It's about learning, sharing, and then giving back and helping other people experience things that they've never experienced before, even though they haven't. If they're considering it and you have the experience and the knowledge about that specific area, share it. You never know what that's going to bring to some individual that's interested in that specific
Right.
area. And that's what we all need to do.
Well, in a book, my other mentor, I have a CEO mentor and then a group that I work with outside of supply chain, like I mentioned, but one of the books they said is called Go Giver. And Go Giver is talking about giving, and that's what I like to do. I love giving. Because again, I didn't have some of this knowledge or some of I didn't have the people that I could lean on back in the day and made a lot of mistakes, which is where I want to be able to help these other people not make those mistakes if we
Right.
can. I don't know it all, but like together, like collaborating, talking, it's just
Exactly.
so important. And I think it's easier now to reach out, I would say. I mean, maybe because I've been doing it for 26 years, but I feel like it is a lot easier now. People are more receptive to it than maybe they would have been in the past.
Yeah, it requires you to be humble, like just know that you don't know it all and that you are willing to learn from someone else, because that's key. I agree. So just be humble enough in order to recognize where the gaps are and go fill them, with someone else or just learning on your own, but do something in order to fill those gaps.
Right. Now do you go to a lot of these conferences that are out there? I know TAI's all over the place at these
they are.
conferences. Are you one of those people that go out to these? I mean, obviously I know you're going to TIA, but do you go to other ones?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we have a busy schedule this year. There are a lot of conferences. There are some that only, the sales team goes to. But yeah, mostly the big events, TIA for sure. Manifest, I wasn't able to go, but something that I will do for sure. But yeah, the user conference that we organize as well. So yeah, I'm always there with the team.
Now, the reason I ask is just curious again, because when you're in those big spaces and there's a lot of men, like, again, how is that feeling? Do you feel like it's easier to talk with men in an environment like that? Just curious.
I think right now it is. First time that I went and that I was trying to, create these conversations and everything, it wasn't as easy as now. But yeah, I think that, again, with time and confidence and just by putting yourself out there, it's becoming more natural. And now that you have, for example, these spaces and that you are giving us that power of, showing ourselves and just sharing what we have to say. It's helpful too because people recognize you sometimes, so it's easier to establish those talks.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, and it's great to have this platform for people like yourselves to talk about it. Because, like I said, I can talk about it all day. I own my own company, and I have nothing to hide, and I'd like to share some of those experiences so that they're kind of like, I went through the same thing you did, and how did you handle it? Because sometimes people, like, they don't want to talk about it.
No.
They're ashamed of it. They're afraid that something's going to happen if they do say something, and it shouldn't be like that. It's about what can we do to be better, all the way around. So
and the acronym of FOPO is, right? And FOPO, the FOPO, fear of other people's opinions. Don't push it. Be yourself. Don't try to be someone else that somebody else is trying to create for themselves. Be you. Don't change.
Try to please people.
Right. And walk in that room like you're the biggest elephant in that room and that you're not afraid of anything. And speak your mind, be yourself, because that's how you push yourself forward. When you keep that positivity and that intellect inside, it doesn't do you any justice. Let it flow and feel comfortable in doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And I know we're getting close to the end here, but I wanted to ask a couple more questions. Can you talk to the audience a little bit about why women should come into logistics, should come into tech space? Obviously, things have changed quite a bit from 20 years ago to where we are today, and it's continuing to change. But what are some things, too, that men can do to help women feel comfortable, to help them within the organizations, based upon your knowledge and what you've gone through?
Sure. So about the industry, we need fresh eyes. I think this is a perfect time for a new generation to come in and just, see things from different perspectives and learn. This industry is incredibly, it's huge and it has a lot of things to learn from. You can do whatever you want to because there are different roles, there are different opportunities. So it's not that you will be stuck in a single role forever or that you're going to be with the same team always. No, this industry is huge and there is a lot to learn. But then, yeah, just being brave and there to do new things because that's key, right? If I wouldn't have done that before and just there to move to another industry, I wouldn't have known you guys, for example, and I wouldn't be here. So yeah, just there to do new things. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Just learn from that. Be vulnerable. Speak up. But yeah, just be inspired every single day. Invest on your development. Never stop learning. Meet new people. Create those connections. Focus on the gain, just those little wins, along the process, because I think that goal setting is a powerful tool that we have, but it's also tricky sometimes because all we can see is the goal and where we want to be, but we forget about the little wins on the road, like the progress that we've made. So focus on those little wins as well. Just make sure that you are always, very well focused, reaching out to other people for mentoring, and just give back. Always give back for all women. And then for men, how you support women, I will say don't be afraid of supporting different profiles and backgrounds as well. Use that as an advantage in order to learn more about different things, different perspectives. Reach out to women. Don't try to, understand women because maybe you won't be able to. But just
try.
You'll be here all day if you're trying
to try every day.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that. But just learn how to, how they think, how they act. Just get involved in their emotions and the way they deal with those emotions because you will need that as well. And just acknowledge women. It's still we've come a long way, but it's still a very intimidating position for women in the industry. So just acknowledge them and make them feel like you're there for them and that you will be just value the work they do. That's my advice.
Yeah, and the most important thing to end this on is always make them feel more important than you. You don't have to be that ego-driven person that's overpowering. If you go in there and always put them before yourself, you'll be amazed how far you can go with that. Yep. Because it's not always about you. It never really is when you think about it. It really isn't.
Right. Not even me when I walk in the room. Right. And I think the biggest thing that people can learn too, from like, say, the male perspective too, is just listening. All the men out there, listen to what the women have to say, have those conversations and just take it in. I think that's one of the biggest things that a man can do in working with women in logistics, or anything, I guess, in life. But since we're talking about logistics, I just think that is very important, and not think that you have all the answers because maybe there's enough that you can take out of it.
Yeah. Exactly. The thing is, I'm sorry to say this because you don't have all the answers. I'm sorry. There's not one person out there in the logistics that can answer every single problem issue in logistics. And that's why you have to work together to listen to other people's opinions and what their knowledge is and what their experiences are, because maybe, just maybe, it might relate to one of the issues and problems you're having that will help you out greatly.
Yeah. Now we'll just add one little thing, that is, sure. I learned that loud is not always strong and quiet is not always weak. And I think that's something very, very powerful because sometimes we tend to be the introverted ones, like the quiet ones. And just because someone else is louder than us and it's just, maybe we're doing the same thing, but it's just louder. So don't believe that, that loud is always strong and that quiet is always weak. Just check what they're doing.
Yeah, I like that. That's definitely interesting. Yeah. Well, it was great having you on this show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, just very well spoken about all the things we talked about, and you seem like a force to be reckoned with within TAI and the industry, and we're so excited to see what happens along your journey.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Absolutely. And for those who want to get in touch with you, tell them how they can reach you.
For sure. Always go into LinkedIn, I'm Lina Castaneda on LinkedIn. Going to the TAI-Software.com website, we have all the profiles there. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
And before we go, what all does TAI Software do? What does it support?
Yeah.
The what, sorry?
What does TAI Software support from a mode standpoint?
What they support, what we support?
Yeah. Yep.
Empowerment. We support level up, of course, always leveling up. We support, the teamwork always, and just being able to, promote people that need to be promoted.
No, that's great. I meant to the modes. Like, I know we utilize you
Oh,
guys.
sorry, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's great to hear too. But LTL shipping and what else?
Sorry, LTL, FTL, and we have drayage as well.
Okay, no, that's awesome. I just want to make sure our audience knows what TAI Software is about.
I missed the modes word, sorry.
That's okay, but they're both good at responses, so that's great. But yeah, thanks again for coming on. We truly appreciated the conversation. It was great.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, thanks, Lina. We'll definitely have you back on a future show. We appreciate your time taking, that you took out of your busy day. So listen, we're at the end of the show. I appreciate everybody who have watched today's show. We're live every single Monday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Storytelling Chronicles. We're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Until next week, everyone have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Take care now.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care now.
You're welcome.